What differentiates a successful investor from those who are not? And it's not about the education you have, the connections you have, or how much money you have. It turns on your psychology. In this video, we are going to take a look at the psychological traits that give the successful investor her edge. Hi there. I love investing. I love talking about investing, I like doing it, and I like researching it. And in my recent research, I came across an article by Morgan Housel, who's a partner of the Collaborative Fund, a venture capital fund in the US. And he says investing is not the study of finance. It is the study of how people behave with money. And he goes on to further explain that investing success has nothing to do with your credentials or your connections. It's all about your psychology and how you manage the flaws and biases that you carry when it comes to investing. And this relates to emotional intelligence. And it's all about truly knowing ourselves and knowing what we value rather than a formal education. I've selected a few of these psychological investing factors that differentiate investing success from failure. The first psychological trait that leads to success as an investor is accepting that luck is a large element of the investing equation. In other words, investing success has as much to do with our abilities as it does with luck. And we don't like to believe this. We don't like to ascribe our investing success to luck, but we will ascribe our investing failures to bad luck. My view, based on my own personal experience, is the reason why I don't like to believe that luck is an important component in the equation is because it takes away my control of that success. It assumes that I'm dependent on something that I cannot control to guarantee that outcome. But Morgan Housel puts forward a thought-provoking proposition. He says, when you invest, you take the view that there is risk that you can lose. So if you twist that coin or flip that coin and look on the other side of it, the opposite of that is there has to be some element of luck that you could gain. So luck is something we do understand as an inherent part of the investing equation. However, there is a component of this whole equation that we do control, and that is our steps in taking action and investing, getting an understanding and taking the positive action of investing in a way that we can, to a certain extent, be a more successful investor, depending on the luck. So if you're not investing, it's irrelevant. Luck is irrelevant. You need to be investing and then let luck take its action. So control the thing you can control. Get an understanding, make sound investment decisions, and get investing. Let luck do its thing from there. The second psychological trait that leads to investing success is accounting for the full cost of the investing equation. Being human, we want our cake and we want it spoon-fed to us. We don't accept that for any gain, the universal law of balance requires an equal loss. And the loss is not only financial. Investing success is going to require sacrifices on our part. The path to success requires patience and time in the market, as well as a great deal of fortitude when facing the volatility, fear, and uncertainty we will face while we are exposed to the market. And when we start our investing journey, we tend to ignore this universal law of balance and believe just in the possibility of gains. And so as soon as we encounter one of the sacrifices I mentioned above, we throw in the towel and retreat, thereby sabotaging our investing success. So for investing success, number one, you have to understand investing is a marathon and not a sprint. You're going to run through some pretty extreme storms and you're going to have the fortitude to not take action and understand yourself and know what actions you would want to take in those circumstances and invest accordingly. The third psychological trait that guarantees investing success is understanding that money does not determine your worth and it doesn't give you status. The truth is, nobody cares about your money. They care about their money. And the only value that money has is the value that you ascribe to it. If your value in money is something external to validate something internal in you, you will never achieve that. The only way we validate those internal beliefs or values is through becoming that person that we want to be. Other people assuming that money creates that person will not make us that person. So until you live within your true authenticity, you can't chase money to buy that for you. Be authentic and do the things that reflect you as that person, and use money simply as a tool to create the lifestyle within which that person wants to live. The fourth psychological trait that helps with investing success is understanding that history is not the perfect predictor of the future. We want a roadmap for everything. We are constantly trying to explain things to ourselves, to predict our futures, and to remove the discomfort of uncertainty. And history is a very seductive indicator to grasp onto as our crystal ball. Morgan Housel argues that because the world and the markets are evolving so exponentially, the only prediction history is able to give us is how people will behave and how their fear and greed will typically inform their decisions. And so the key message that Housel is leaving us with is not to blindly rely on historical data as an indicator of the path forward and to act on that as the perfect predictor, because the outcome is very likely to be unexpected and potentially undesirable. The fifth psychological trait for investing success is understanding the power of compounding. Our brains are particularly bad at picturing this power of compounding and exponential growth. And Bill Gates is quoted to have said, "We overestimate what we can achieve in 2 years, but we underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. And there are other countless examples of how these simple compounding ideas fool our brains. Consider this extreme but unbelievable example. If you were to save £1 on day 1 and to double that amount for the next 31 days, on day 16 you would have £16,000. On day 21 you would have £1 million, and on day 31 you would have over £1 billion. And that is the power of compounding. The thing to remember is it doesn't happen over a short period of time. It needs time for the magic to happen. The sixth psychological trait that helps with investing success is understanding that social proof is not the path to success. Social proof literally requires everyone to believe the same thing and to do the same thing. And if we follow this proof, we feel our investment decision has been validated because everybody's doing it. This has nothing to do with good decision making or taking the road less traveled opportunities. It is simply following the crowd and assuming success is a given because nothing can go wrong when everyone supports this view. Ironically though, success is made less likely given that the herd has created an overvalued and overdone investment, ripe for crashing. So let's park the social proof and go on our own thinking when it comes to investing. The seventh psychological trait, and the second last one I'm going to speak about, is understanding our emotional reaction. Now, despite us being naturally negative as a self-defense mechanism, we have a really hard time in estimating the overall potential loss of an event. And I'm not talking about the monetary loss. I'm talking about our emotional reaction to that loss, how we will react. And we typically, in this case, underestimate our emotional instability when we have this negative outcome. This prediction shortcoming leads us to enter risky investments with this kind of like gung-ho attitude. I'll be fine. I've got the psychological wherewithal to withstand the crashes and the volatility. And we don't leave any room for errors in our psychology. So when the emotional impact kicks in, our initial estimation is likely to be so inadequate that we don't even predict that we may lead ourselves to taking suboptimal decisions when we can least afford to take them, like selling out of a position when the market is down and buying when it is high. And this is a trait that poor psychological biases lead us to undertake. And this is detrimental to investing success. The reality is, when the market is down is when you want to buy, and when the market is up is when you want to sell. And that is what we grapple with when the psychological effects of a down market kick in. So remember, don't underestimate your emotional response to a significant market drop. The last psychological trait is understanding that investing is not filled with thrills and excitement. Paul Samuelson, the Nobel Prize winning economist, said, investing should be more like watching paint dry or grass grow. If you want excitement, take $800 and go to Las Vegas. And similarly, George Soros, an American industrialist and hedge fund owner, known as the man who broke the Bank of England, stated, if you are having fun investing, it's likely you aren't making any money. Successful investing is boring. It's about committing to a path and hanging in there for the long term. There are none of the bright, shiny lights like you get in Vegas when you win the jackpot. But if you hang in there, it simply and richly rewards you for your time. Morgan Housel expands on these phenomenal ideas in his blog, and he's recently written a book, The Psychology of Money, that I've included details of in the show notes below. If you're thinking about investing, make sure that you have your financial foundations in place. Take the financial intelligence quiz, which I've also included below, to see where you are. If you like this video, please let me know by liking it and share it with any other ladies who are ready to change their financial story. Comment if you found anything helpful. For financial education and money talk designed for women, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video. I look forward to chatting to you again in the future.